cheesing up now.
Yeah.
It did seem like it switched a little bit, yeah, because it was high at first. So yeah, if I can get a little bit more.
Testing.
That's our house now.
Yeah. Hello. I've been walking.
She's
two. I've been walking. I'm great right there.
I'm 4. Can I try? Weight on my shoulders, a bullet.
Serenity.
Oh.
3.
That's when I'm gonna stand up, take my people with me. Together we are going.
You could raise it a little bit.
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit, please.
For timing, too. No, the track. I'm sorry.
We're going to hear the overtones from the roof.
It doesn't have to be as, so he can turn the track up and turn us down halfway.
Together we are going to a brand new
Nothing really ends. For things to stay the same, they have to change again. Hello, my old friend. You change your name, but not the ways you play pretend. American and big ideas, yeah. I'm buried here, yeah. I've been walking with my face held to the sun, weight on my shoulders, a bullet in my gun. Oh, I got eyes in the back of my head, just in case I have to run. I do what I can when I can, while I can for my people. While the clouds roll back and the stars fill the night,
That's when I'm gonna stand up, take my people with me. Together we are going to a brand new home.
Ah, river, you hear freedom calling, calling me to answer. Gonna keep on keeping on. And I know what's around the bend might be hard to face when I'm alone.
And I just might fail, but Lord knows I've tried. So as stars fill the sky,
Stand up, take my people with me. Together we are going to a brand new home. Far across the river, can you hear freedom calling, calling me to answer? Gonna keep on keeping on. I'm gonna stand up, take my people with me. Together we are going to a brand new home. Far across the river, I hear freedom calling, calling me to answer. Gonna keep on keeping on. I'm gonna stand up, take my people with me. Together we are going to a brand new home. Far across the river, I hear freedom calling, calling me to answer. Gonna keep on keeping on. I can feel it in my bones. I go to prepare a place for you. I go to prepare a place for you. I go to prepare a place for you. I go to prepare a place for you.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Harmony Collective. How powerful, how uplifting. Let's give them another round of applause. In the Americas, Afro-descendant history is not a separate chapter. It is one of the foundations of our shared history. Today, as an Afro-descendant woman, it is both an honor and a privilege to welcome you to the opening ceremony of the 9th Inter-American Week for Afro-descendant people in the Americas. Secretario General
Secretary General Alberto Rondin, Assistant Secretary General Laura Hill, Chair of the Permanent Council, Mr. Ambassador Vargas, Your Excellencies, special guests, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It's a true pleasure to welcome you in the Hall of the Americas this morning to inaugurate our International Week with a very robust agenda under the motto, equality that inspires, freedom that transforms, and a hemisphere that leads. I can promise you that the next few days will be full of experiences that lead us to reflection as well as celebration.
We will engage in conversations, performances, panels exploring justice, economic empowerment, education, culture, memory, gender, and equality, all through the lens of Afro-descendant leadership across the hemisphere. Each moment has been thoughtfully designed not only to highlight the challenges, but to inspire collaboration and to celebrate a shared heritage that continues to shape who we are today. I truly hope that together we will celebrate leadership, creativity, and culture, from innovation and entrepreneurship to music, dance, and memory. Antes de darle la palabra,
Before I give the floor to Ambassador Luis Ernesto Vargas, Chair of the Permanent Council and Permanent Representative of Colombia to the OAS, I would like just to take a few minutes to truly thank him and thank everyone. I would like to thank everyone for including on the agenda this month Mama Luz, an Afro-descendant woman of Colombia who, through gastronomy, the kitchen, she connects communities, memories, and traditions. This just reminds us of the fundamental role of Afro-descendant women in conveying cultural wealth and in the preservation of our identities. Mr. Chairman, you have the floor. With this music presentation, which was so beautiful, we have kicked off the happiest week, the one that gives us so much feeling of dignity and happiness, just joy. And with this demonstration in our multiracial reality that we just kicked off everything with, distinguished colleagues, ambassadors, permanent representatives of member states of the Organization of American States, Ambassador Albert Rondin, Secretary General and Assistant Secretary General, Laura Hill, distinguished representatives of the permanent observers, dear representatives of Afro-descendant communities and civil society, special guests, colleagues of the General Secretariat, members of the Colombian team, ladies and gentlemen alike, and a special greeting to Roxanne, who is our moderator. Ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor to address you on this significant occasion in which we inaugurate the 9th Inter-American Week of Afro-descendant people in the Americas, a space that renews the commitment of our hemisphere to dignity, equality, and human rights of people peoples and Afro-descendant communities. This year's motto was just mentioned by Roxanne: equality that inspires, freedom that transforms, and a hemisphere that leads. Calls us to go beyond historical recognition and project ourselves towards a future in which our collective actions generate real, structural, and sustainable changes. We are facing the beginning of the second international decade of Afro-descendants, a key moment that gives us a new opportunity to face, with decision and action, the persistent consequences of slavery, colonialism, and structural racism. These realities continue present, and they continue present in specific inequalities that limit the full exercise of rights of these huge basket of human rights in the world. In this context, the negotiation process of the Inter-American Declaration on the Rights of Peoples and Peoples of Afro-Descendants, which unfortunately, or I should say, wonderfully led by Brazil and Colombia with the support of several member states, represents an historic opportunity to consolidate a common commitment based on racial understanding, historical justice, and inclusive development. Distinguished colleagues, this process is based on fundamental pillars that require our commitment and our permanent vocation to work on it. Recognition as the basis of identity, culture, and full-fledged participation of Afro-descendant people. Justice, it requires us to face structural racism with concrete actions, ensuring effective access to inclusive judicial systems, promoting historical memory, and advancing in reparation measures. Development calls us to close historical gaps through public policies that guarantee real and equitable opportunities, ensuring that no one is left behind, and gender and intersectionality that reminds us that inequalities are not homogeneous and that we must specifically address the multiple forms of discrimination that face, in particular, girls, women, and Afro-descendant adolescents. On the 25th of March, the Permanent Council will commemorate the International Day of Remembrance of the Victims of Slavery and the Transatlantic Slave Trade. I would say enslaved people. This commemoration will be an opportunity to renew our commitment to memory, justice, and dignity, and to renew action in the face of these realities. As permanent representative of Colombia, I reaffirm my country's commitment to racial equality, the protection of the rights of Afro-descendant communities, and the elimination of all forms of discrimination. Colombia recognizes and deeply values the historical, cultural, social, and economic wealth of its Afro-descendant communities, as well as their essential contributions in the diverse and inclusive nation. Their legacies, traditions, and contribution to all areas of life strengthen our identity and spurs us on to promote policies that guarantee justice, full participation, and equity for all. Dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, the Inter-American Weeks of Afro-Descendants are a clarion call for action. This is a space for dialogue, the construction of solid consensuses, the promotion of concrete policies that strengthen hemispheric cooperation and guarantee rights throughout the continent. Today, I should also like to recognize the great work of the Assistant Secretary General, who, alongside member states and civil society, has made it possible to have this vision with a robust and comprehensive agenda as was also mentioned by Roxanne, designed to generate spaces for genuine dialogue and promote concrete action. So I should like to invite everyone throughout this week to actively participate in this process, contributing with proposals, reflections, and concrete commitments that allow us to advance in this crucial issue for our societies, because an equality that inspires must be translated into policies that transform and into a hemisphere that truly leads by example for everyone. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, for your words and for reminding us that this week, first and foremost, is a clarion call for action to advance inequality and justice for Afro-descendant communities in our hemisphere. And that is why we have to lead by example, creating safe spaces and ensuring that in building bridges, Afro-descendant people not only are part of this architecture, but they have to be visible in specific cases, but they also have to be spearheaders of their own destiny.
Data and about bias in data. When we refer to Afro-descendant communities, we often focus, and rightly so, on the enduring legacy of the transatlantic slave trade. But the story does not end there. Today, it is broader. It is more complex. It includes new diasporas, evolving migration patterns, and the lived realities of the Caribbean people. They say data does not lie, and perhaps it does not. But sometimes the greatest bias lies not in what data shows, but in what it leaves out. Just as the book Invisible Women points out, this omission is not always intentional. Most of our current structures, from institutions to policies, were not built for everyone, and their roots reflect historical inequities that continues to shape who is included and who is often left out. Because when communities are absent from data, they are often absent from policies. And what is not counted is often not seen and ultimately not addressed. Having that said, it is my distinct honor to offer the floor to our Secretary General, Albert Ramdin, a long-standing advocate for Caribbean representation and our first ever Caribbean Secretary General.
Good morning and buenos dias. Before I salute you, I just want to commend the Harmony Collective Ensemble for the performance. Not about the singing only, but you must have witnessed the unity and the synchronized way they operated. Roles and responsibilities, well observed. So I want to make sure that we take that as an example because this is badly needed currently in our world and in the hemisphere. Unity, collectivity, same message, synchronized message, so that we can move forward doing better. So thank you very much for the presentation to the collective. It's always a pleasure to recognize Ambassador Luis Ernesto Vargas, chairperson of the OAS Permanent Council and permanent representative of Colombia to the OAS. Distinguished permanent representatives to the OAS, permanent observers, ambassadors, invited guests, Assistant Secretary General Laura Hill, our colleagues from the OAS General Secretariat, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much, Roxanne, for the introduction. So on this 9th Inter-American Week of People of African Descent, I would like to start saluting and highlighting the contributions of the people of African descent across every aspect of life in our hemisphere. In the Americas, people of African descent embody values, creativity, and intelligence, as well as resilience, perseverance, and a rich cultural heritage. This week honors that legacy and renews our commitment to justice and inclusion. In a way, we all are Afro-descendants. In a way, we all have undergone migratory processes. And in many of us, we have DNA represented coming from African heritage. So this is not only for those concretely migrating from Africa, this is for everybody. I hope we recognize that. So this commemoration, established under the Action Plan for the Decade of People of African Descent in the Americas, 2016-2025, is observed around March 25th, in line with the International Day of Remembrance of the Victims of Slavery and the Transatlantic Slave Trade. That same year, the OAS Permanent Council created this week to promote awareness of Afro-descendant heritage and contributions while recognizing the enduring impacts of slavery. This celebration takes place as member states advance negotiations toward an Inter-American Declaration on the Rights of Persons and Peoples of African Descent. As mentioned before, racism and discrimination remains a daily reality for many, which makes this effort urgent and necessary. I therefore would like to encourage all delegations to engage actively in the negotiations for a successful outcome. If adopted, this declaration by the OAS General Assembly in June in Panama, which I hope will be happening, the declaration will not only advance our region, but also contribute to global efforts still facing challenges. It will continue to lead, inspire, and transform. The OAS has long been a pioneer in the world when it comes to developing legal standards, so we hope that this declaration will become a reality through the work of especially Colombia and Brazil, as well as other member states. This declaration, ladies and gentlemen, will also serve as an important tool for the development of public policies and the strengthening of institutions dedicated to the people of African descent in our region. It will represent the new roadmap for the work of the Inter-American Network of High-Level Authorities on policies for people of African descent, an inter-American mechanism tasked with promoting ongoing collaboration and strengthening national institutions responsible for policies regarding people of African descent in the Americas. So, ladies and gentlemen, this theme of this 9th Inter-American Declaration on the Rights of People of African Descent, equality that inspires, freedom that transforms, and a hemisphere that leads, is timely, but also very important. In this week, 17 activities of various nature on different topics will be held. I appreciate the efforts and thank Assistant Secretary General Laura Hill for her leadership and the OAS Secretariat team for the dedicated efforts. I also want to recognize Ambassador Nestor Mendes as a former ASG for initiating this process and for bringing us so far. Thank you very much. So, in my view, this week's commemoration is also a reality check. A reality check which should include assessing what we have achieved so far. People from African descent have been present, willingly or unwillingly, for more than 400 years in our hemisphere. They account now for over 200 million of American citizens, approximately 1/3 of the Latin American and Caribbean population. And still, and still the battle is continuing for equal rights and equal opportunities after 400 years. Afro-descendants have contributed to our diversity and mosaic of societies in a meaningful way. They have enriched our culture, language, cuisine, music, and arts. We have seen that. They have contributed with their hard work, blood and tears, to the wealth in other continents and to very few in our own neighborhood. They have contributed to independence movements and inspired many leaders to freedom fighting. They have been denied recognition for their contributions, progress, and a decent life because of policies and built-in discrimination. These issues must be addressed in a concrete way. I like to celebrate the progress we are making, and much progress has been made, but much more needs to be done. A lot more needs to be done. It is unacceptable that in today's world, after 400 years, we're still discussing issues which are norm for the OAS, and we should be our values, straightforward. We need to demonstrate more speed and resolve. So, simply put, less talk, less commemorations, more action to improve in real terms. That is what the Afro-descendants want to feel and see happening. Nothing more, nothing less. I want to thank all of you for your attention, your presence, and look forward to the productive outcome of this week's events. I thank you very much.
Thank you, Secretary General, for your insightful remarks and for your continued leadership. A continuación,
And now we'd like to talk about innovation and entrepreneurship of African descendants, an initiative of the Young Americans Business Trust and the OAS. This initiative will show us innovative solutions led by Afro-descendant youth in the hemisphere and set the basis for a new regional category of the TIC Americas program.
that Afro-descendant communities have always been at the forefront of innovation and creativity. From language and music to cuisine, businesses, and beyond. Today's recognition is not the beginning of that story. It's a continuation of a long tradition of leadership and ingenuity. En esta ocasión nos acompaña.
This time we have Luis Biguria, Executive Secretary of the YABT, as well as Youth Alumni of TIC America. It's a pleasure for us to offer Mr. Liguria the floor to hear some remarks and the delivery of the award. Good morning. Ambassador Albert Ramdin, Secretary General of the Organization of American States, Ambassador Laura Hill, Assistant Secretary General of the Organization of American States, and Ambassador Luis Ernesto Vargas, President of the Permanent Council, distinguished ambassadors, representatives, permanent representatives, authorities, members of the international community, families of the OAS, and youth present here today, following us on virtually. It is an honor to be here with you today at the beginning of the 9th Inter-American Week of African Descendants in the Americas, a space which invites us to recognize, view, and recognize the leadership of a community that has been and continues to be a fundamental pillar of development and hemispheric integration. I want to begin by recalling something essential as a society. The potential of African descendant youth often is facing systematic barriers, and yet that potential is immense and significant. According to the World Bank, African descendant people in Latin America and the Caribbean are rating rates of more than 60% of informal work, and the salary gaps could exceed 20% even with educational levels that are similar to those that are non-African descendants. And yet, in every country we find African descendants that innovate, are entrepreneurs and leaders transforming their communities even when they do not have the same opportunities. Today, we are here to change that and strengthen that change. African descendant talent is a motor of innovation for the region. The World Economic Forum states that in Latin America and the Caribbean, one of the regions with the greatest growth potential of entrepreneurship, with more than 23% of an adult population involved in entrepreneurship activities at an early age, and yet the African descendant youth continue to be underrepresented in the innovation ecosystem and access to capital. That's why today we have the honor of presenting to you the award to African Descendant Youth Award, a platform designed for that genius and that contribution can have an impact positively on the Americas, an award that is the result of the commitment of the Young American Business Trust and the Organization of American Trust to overcome structural barriers and open real roads towards equity, diversity, visibility, and economic development. 3 key benefits offered by this challenge: real equity, promoting solutions created from the community. The IDB says that the programs led by youth and historically excluded groups have a greater social, local impact and sustainability impact. Second, leadership. We position entrepreneurship and youth innovation as tools to generate economic sustainable opportunities. Third, direct connection. A recognition that links governments with real solutions and bring African descendants communities closer to the work of the OAS. This recognition is the basis for us to launch a regional category of TIC America of 2026, from where we'll develop a comprehensive program of 1 year of duration, which amongst other things will offer training in strategies and business proposals, specialized mentorships, validation of proposals, international visibility, seed capital, and links with an international network of entrepreneurs, members of the private sector and technical cooperation to accelerate their growth. All this with a single objective in mind: to transform ideas into real enterprises that are sustainable with social impact. Based on this evidence, I tell you, we're not going to start from scratch. The TIC America has already had an impact on more than 57,000 young people in 57 countries, moving more than 150 experts, partners, international partners, sponsors of the public and private sector, and has developed hundreds of training sessions to adapt to the projects we promote, a program which began in 2007 thanks to the support of the Secretary General today, Albert Ramdin, that has been part of the General Assembly of the OAS since then, and the Youth Forum of the Americas in the summits. Today, after 19 years of uninterrupted work, TIC America has begun a relevant and pioneer platform in the support of entrepreneurship, innovation, and sustainable and inclusive development. The program, responding to the mandates of our member states and the priorities we share and align with other international organizations to find resource, expertise, and opportunities, which undoubtedly we promote from here, from the OAS. Today, with the support of Ambassador Laura Gil, the Assistant Secretary General of the OAS, we want to begin something concrete with impact, with the support of the member states, the inter-American community, a program which will promote participation and, above all, action of African descendant youth. We have a validated methodology, a network of experts from all industries and sectors, a technological, reliable platform, a group of experts willing to share their knowledge with the new generations. TIC America is recognized as one of the hemispheric initiatives with greatest consistency to support young entrepreneurs. TIC America has shown that it works. What we're trying to find today are partners committed to help us build with us a transforming program and a history of hemispheric success. We invite you all to join us to show that leadership, innovation, and entrepreneurship of African descendant youth are a motor needed by the Americas today. Let's make next hemispheric spaces show the success of these youth as proof of our joint commitment to end. Let's join that to show that innovation in America has a diverse and potential. The African descendant communities are ready. Now we have to be there to join them to make the challenge of innovation a reality. And now it is a pleasure to invite Damani Thomas from Jamaica on a video conference, the founder of eFossilize 3.0, Advanced Biofuel. Damani won the Innovation in Action Challenge 2024. He's an engineer, a scientist, and has developed an initiative that is not only has an impact in the Caribbean, but worldwide. Damani.
He's joining us from Jamaica.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, Damani, welcome.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. My name is Damani Thomas, and I'm the founder and CEO of Carbon Neutral Initiative, a Jamaican clean technology startup developing practical, low-carbon fuel solutions for transport. Our flagship innovation is called the D30 biomethanol, was created to address major problems faced by major countries like ours. We need to reduce emissions, but we cannot afford to replace our vehicles, fuel infrastructure, and energy system overnight. That is where our value proposition comes in. D30 is being developed as a lower carbon fuel pathway that can work within existing transport systems instead of waiting for a perfect future. We're focused on building realistic transition solutions for the present, especially for small islands and developing economies that are highly vulnerable to climate change, fuel insecurity, and economic change. This journey has not been easy. One of our biggest barriers has been building climate technology in an environment with limited access to funding, specialized laboratory labs, advanced infrastructure, and technical support. In many developing countries, young innovators do not just build the solution, they also have to build the ecosystem around the solution. That means learning to do research independently and creating credibility from scratch. Finding mentors and continuing even when resources are limited. That is why support from stakeholders has mattered so much. Programs like Innovation 2.0 Challenge and the TIC Americas, led by YAPT, do much more than provide visibility. They create belief, they give young entrepreneurs access to networks, validation, training, and opportunities to help transform an idea into something investors, institutions, and partners can begin to take seriously. For us, that support helps strengthen our confidence, sharpen our message, and push our work closer to real impact. One of the biggest lessons I have learned as a young leader is that innovation is not only about technology, it is also about resilience, community, adaptability, and purpose. You need to be flexible enough to improve, listen, and grow. Leadership has taught me that progress is rarely linear, but vision and persistence can carry you to very difficult stages. Looking ahead, my vision is not only to advance D30, but also to show that world-class climate innovations can come from the Caribbean and from other underrepresented regions. Young people in our region do not lack talent or ideas. What they often lack is access, financing, infrastructure, and long-term support. So my recommendation is simple. If we want to promote sustainable entrepreneurship among the youth, we need to invest beyond competitions. We need stronger pipelines that connect young innovators to research support, pilot opportunities, capital, mentorship, and regional markets. We must not only celebrate youth innovation, we must help scale it. I am proud to represent Jamaica and the Caribbean in this work, and I hope my story encourages more young people to believe that even from small places, we can build solutions for global challenges. Thank you.
Thank you, Damani. I think the message of Damani is very clear. He's not the only one that is in the Caribbean or in the Americas trying to do the fight, but with some support that he can get from us, institutional support, training, mentorship, visibility, he can go the extra mile. And I think that's our task right now, to look and to find those entrepreneurs, to help them scale up their initiatives, to help them access to market, and to help them work with us, with the OAS, with the member states, to make the change that we need in this time. I think this is the key of the Afro-Descendant Innovation Challenge. It's just an opportunity to scale up those initiatives, to let them know that they're not alone. I remember it was the December last year, we have the first meeting of the Interdepartamental Working Group on Youth, and with the Secretary General, we mentioned something that is, we're tired of swimming alone. We need to help these kids, these young people, swim together with us. I don't want to end before asking if we have Moises connected with us. Is he there? Moises from Colombia? We have another entrepreneur that is the winner of TIC Americas, the finalist of TIC Americas from Urabá, Colombia. He didn't connect. We have a video, maybe? No? Okay. Well, we have another one, but you will be able to know them, him and others. Our idea is to launch this initiative in the upcoming General Assembly in Panama. We look forward to work with all of you, to partner with us, and to be able to take it to the next level. We want to have this challenge to be an institutionalized platform that we can announce every year, like today in this week, and that we can take every year to our General Assembly. It's an effort that the Assistant Secretary General is leading. It's an effort and a priority that the Secretary General is leading, working with youth, never without them. Thank you very much. It is an honor and a pleasure to share with you this effort that we're doing, and we really appreciate the opportunity.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you very much, Dr. Liguria, for that wonderful initiative. March has been a profoundly significant month for the OAS. We began with the month of the women. We continued with the French-speaking week, and today we begin the Inter-American Week of African Descendants. If we see it intentionally, this whole month has been preparing us for this moment. A space where we see the recognition of women, cultural diversity, linguistic diversity, and the African descendant importance. And to close, I'd like to offer the floor to our Assistant Secretary General, Ambassador Laura Gil, under whose leadership these important celebrations have been promoted. Good morning. Ambassador Luis Ernesto Vargas, President of the Permanent Council. Ambassador Albert Ramdin, Secretary General, ambassadors and colleagues, friends. The week of March 25th is not just another week at the OAS, and it's not because you, the member states, decided it should not be. On March 25th, the International Day of the reminder of the victims of slavery and transatlantic traffic, always reminds us of a difficult moment, slavery, traffic, and what this left in our societies. This year we decided to do something different. We brought that memory from where it was and built on what Ambassador Mendes left us. I know how important this week was for your team, Ambassador, and I hope that our efforts honor what you all began. That's why this week was not just left at the OAS. As I said, we tried to take it out of the OAS. We took it to universities. We talked to the young people. We opened new spaces where we were not normally. We did a hackathon, not as a symbol, but to hear new ideas, real new ideas. We joined other partners, people who understand that this isn't just a sector issue, that it is a question of democracy. We mixed conversation with culture, with art, with music, with live things, because that's the identity of one and all. It's history, it's today. In other words, we tried to do something different. 17 events, so many that towards the end we couldn't quite fit them into the agenda, and we're going to extend it throughout the year. 11 sponsors, 3 partner universities, dozens of civil society organizations. And I want to stop here with civil society because for years we've known that, well, you've heard me say this so many times, that one of the problems of multilateralism is the distance we have from our people. We've tried to use this week to shorten that distance. Everything the states saw and worked with and authorized and supported and strengthened came out of conversations with civil society. Not only just conversations with civil society, but with our own people here at the OAS, with the group of young people in the Office of the Assistant Secretary General's office, the African population working at the OAS. And they were the ones who told us, for example, and I'm looking at Roxanne right now, that they wanted a whole week that would also mean something to them, and not just to talk about them, but to be meaningful for them. That's why the proposal of working with this initiative of innovation with YMBT. We're working, we've already found some sponsors, we will continue to do it, but we want to institutionalize it so that the African population of our continent realize we not only just speak about them, but we work for them. So we've done this. It's a collective effort. We will correct what needs correction. We will continue to do what works. We will extend this week throughout the year, as I said, with a movie cycle, which we will be telling you about as we organize it. Thank you. Thank you all. But none of that is useful if it's only left on the agenda. The substantive conversation does not change because racial inequality in the Americas is not an accident. And it can change, but not by itself. It has to change when there's commitment, when there's willingness, when there are new ideas, when new people come into the conversation. And that's what I hope to achieve with this week. That it moves things, that it connects spaces that are not normally connected. That we have dialogues, constructive dialogues, participative dialogues, respectful, so that you have more decisions, more policies, more concrete. Because the celebration with no conscience makes no sense. And we've heard too many words. So equality that inspires, freedom that transforms, and a hemisphere that leads is what I hope we achieve. I hope you enjoy the 9th week of African descendant people in the OAS. Thank you very much.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you very much, Ms. Secretary, Assistant Secretary General. And I'm going to speak in my mother tongue.
I'd like to thank everyone. Thank you very much, ASG. During the course of the week, you have invoked a word, invite. The word convict, commitment, convict. It's a word that you said quite rightly. It's very difficult to translate, but it speaks to solidarity, assistance, collective work. Precisely what this week is trying to evoke. There was another very moving moment during the Francophonia week. I'm Haitian and my country is going through a very difficult time, so all of this is very personal for me. I'm going to speak in French now. For me, it's very moving. The heart of the French observer spoke to a Haitian song, a song that my father sang to me all the time in French, in English.
Language have a unique power, the ability to connect diasporas to their lands, to their memories, and to those we carry with us wherever we go. So yes, perhaps with a touch of irony, this Afro Week reminds us of everything that since the beginning of March we have been building together through language, culture, and memory. Y ahora, para...
And now to conclude with the opening week of the Inter-American Week, or the International Week, I'd like to invite you to enjoy an Afro-Peruvian presentation in the hands of the dance group Palpaca, courtesy of the Permanent Mission of Peru. Through music and dance, it leads us to the live memory of our roots. We would like to give them a round of applause. Let's greet them warmly.
Muy buenas tardes.
Good afternoon. My name is Victor Luis. We're going to give you a show of our instrument, the Peruvian cajon, with a little boy. He's living here in the United States, but he's Peruvian, and we're going to tell you what our cajon, Peruvian cajon sounds like. It's a box of a drum, and we're also going to have some other Afro-Peruvian dancers. Thank you very much. How about some applause?
Sí, ok.
We're going to continue with the festival. This is a very festive dance from the south of Peru, from Afro-Peruvian culture. And it has very spiritual movements. Here we go. Good morning. My name is Persin Chinchilla. I'm a cultural specialist of music, dance, and Afro-descendant culture in Peru. We're very happy to show you one of the traditional dances, such as the Samacueca. It's called the mother of all mariners, as we say in Santa Cruz. So what we're going to show you is a representation of this dance, which is a cortege of women, and it's one of the best shows to show you the coherence, the unity of the mysticism, to flirt with women and to show you the beauty of the dance with a handkerchief and Peruvian dances. So for all of you, the Samacueca. I want to invite Juan de Valiente up to the stage.
Y las negras ondan,
Qué manera tan vibrante.
How wonderful, how vibrant, really alive, talking about young people. Thank you very much, Gabriela Savedo, for your participation. The Cajón Peruano, thank you very much. A round of applause. I'm so sorry, Aima.
Y no volverá. Pañuelos al aire de la libertad. En la tienda de San Agustín, sus aros solo bailarán.
Hola, mi nombre es Leonardo Samuel.
Sorry. Couldn't have been better. Once again, thank you very much to the dance troupe, Papalca, courtesy of the Permanent Mission of Peru. Thank you very much for giving us this beautiful dance troupe and the wonderful dancers.
Muchas gracias.
Once again, thank you very much. And a clear-cut show. There's no time to not connect and promote culture. It's now. Now, very briefly, we're going to go back to a previous point and show you a video that was still yet to be seen. So from Colombia, we're going to have the participation of Mr. Montes Rodriguez. I'm going to show you an institutional piece. This is a very transformative project, and we're speaking about the transformation, an organic one, in the plateau farms, and the final product for harvesting and growing plantains in the region, high value products. My name is Juan Camilo Ramirez. We're not just talking about transforming things, but also the process of transforming things in the rural areas. I'm focused on this change so people can grow their own crops. And this is for the peasant population. My name is Anye Angulo. I am here, and we're talking about innovation. We have been able to provide for our own needs. This is done based on some of the Caribbean coast for the banana growing that we do. Thank you very much for giving us this opportunity. The interpreter points out that the sound was very poor, but the message was conveyed. As you will see, with the initiative of some young people, through their talent, their creativity, and their commitment, not only does it inspire, but it really transforms different realities. It really opens up the path forward. I would like to invite you once again to give us a huge round of applause for these young people.
To extend our appreciation to the permanent missions who have supported and accompanied the efforts, reflecting the collective commitment of our member states to advancing equality, inclusion to the hemisphere. Our gratitude as well to our academic partners, including Howard University, American University, and Johns Hopkins for their continued engagement throughout this week. We also recognize the important contribution of our partner at the organization, the OAS Credit Union, the YABT. We also want to thank Impacto, CAF, Race and Equality, and Hip Hop Institute for Peace, without whose work continues to amplify innovation and social impact. And to the artists, cultural groups, and individuals who have enriched this week with their talent, including the Harmony Collective and El Grupo de Danza Papalca. Thank you for reminding us the power of culture to connect, inspire, and transform.
And now, I'm very happy. There are some changes along the way. Now we'd like to invite you to continue this experience with a demonstration show called Vibrar con la Comunidad con Carlos Pasos in this very same room. we will have the pleasure of hearing the words from Ambassador Lanza, permanent representative of Uruguay. Thank you very much.